What it do, homies? It's your boy Dave, and I'm back today. It's been a while since I've done an Easy Meal reaction, and I realized that he released this song 2 days ago, and it's called "Stop Asian Hate." And we know with everything that's been going on and everything, I've heard and I've read that Asians have been the target of violence and everything. So, of course, with Easy Meal being Filipino himself of Asian descent, it's only right for him to use his platform to try to spread positivity, right? And that's what I'm hoping that this is about. We're not necessarily hoping uh, per se. I know that he's going to, because of all the reactions I've done to Easy Mail. I've got to learn what kind of person he is. So I'm super excited in seeing what Easy Mail's got to say. And it says it's a PSA, so public service announcement by TOFA. I don't know who TOFA is. Let's see if it's down here in this. Oh, TOFA Awards. Okay, so it's this channel right here. Okay, it must be a collaboration of some sort. Anyways, I'm not sure if this is a song or if this is more of kind of like a information gathered or presented, like a documentary, if you will. But it's about 7 minutes long, so let's go ahead, shut up, and turn it up. Filipino in America.
We all know the violent acts that have been targeted against Filipino seniors, Noel Quintana and Vilma Carey. There is no doubt that their race was their face.
When I was slashed inside the train, I cried for help, but nobody helped me. So I was a victim twice. First, by the person who slashed my face, and secondly, by the people who just watched me.
I'm the daughter of
That's sad. You see that all the time. You know, I see when people stand around with their cameras and everything filming stuff for police altercations. But if there's no police involved, like if it's just a random act of violence, right, and you have the victim sitting there, needing help, and all you do is sit there and just film and everything, like I see no reason why not to get involved, especially if the victim isn't there anymore, which I'm hoping, that was the case. It's very, very horrible what happened to him. But if the victim had already left, it was like a hit and run, and why not get involved and help the person? I don't understand that. I don't understand why the first thing on your mind is to whip out your phone and film it. I can't get behind that. Oh my goodness.
So I was a victim twice. First, by the person who slashed my face, and secondly, by the people who just watched me.
I'm the daughter of Vilma Carey, the woman who was attacked while walking to church near Times Square simply for being Asian. I ask that we share the sense of community with one another.
I'm really dismayed with all the hate crimes that are going on right now against Asian Americans.
When the economy is in trouble in the United States and millions of Americans are out of work, people who look different from the white majority become the scapegoats of that period.
While we know that racism against the API community long predates the pandemic,
it happened in 1882 with the Chinese Exclusion Act, after Chinese from China helped build the Intercontinental Railroad.
Hatred against the Asian community is hatred against humanity.
It happened in February.
What's really interesting about this is I'm sitting here thinking that during those times we still have people that are alive, right? That because back then, so where I'm trying to look for, these types of acts of violence against minority groups was common. You know what I mean? Nobody even thought twice about it. That's just the way that the world was back then. And, you have some people who are still alive right now that either lived through those times or was pretty close to living in those times to where it kind of afterlasts, which are still in that mentality. And the dangerous thing about it is that it's bred down in generation, right? We're becoming a little bit more modern and everything, but it's still very much alive out there as far as any type of racism or systematic abuse. It's still out there, you know what I mean? And I know from my experience that usually the people who don't agree, it's usually because they don't face it specifically. Like if they don't see it it doesn't exist, right? And you kind of think about how much crap the media feeds us in order to kind of how you want to say kind of shape our thoughts, right? Pretty much being puppets. Some of us don't even go in and do our own research. We just look at the media and say, oh, so that must be true, right? This person didn't do that if he just did this. They say it in almost in a suggestive way in the media, and like that guy on the first Transformers movie, was the second one. He said, "Stop sucking the sack with just the media. You got to get out there and do your own research and learn to be optimistic, because if you have tunnel vision, most of this information is just going to escape you." So I learned that pretty early on to form my own ideas, because I don't like the idea of being controlled. But kind of went off on a little tangent there, but I was looking at that old kind of artwork, and it just made me think, wow, like that at once upon a time was just normal to see posters like that. Like that's crazy, right? I didn't live in that time, but to some people who did, probably still remember these days. Like, oh man, I remember those days. That's crazy, ain't it?
Asian community is hatred against humanity.
It happened in February 1942, 2 months after Pearl Harbor, when the 120,000 Japanese Americans were placed in concentration camps right here in the United States, simply because they are of Japanese ancestry.
So it breaks my heart to see all of the violent crimes being committed against the Asian American people.
It happened to Filipino farmers in 1930 in Watsonville, California, when there was 5 days of race riots directed after Filipino farmers, and resulting in several injured Filipinos and a Filipino farm worker shot to death.
It's just not right. And I hate the fact that now I feel afraid, not only for myself, but for my family, and especially for my children.
And now, the violence against Asian Americans in general and Filipino Americans in particular, it was initiated by the former president when he started calling this deadly pandemic Kung Flu or China virus.
我不是病毒，更不是你发泄不满与愤怒的工具，请停止一切形式的仇恨行为。
We are not a virus. Racism is a virus. We are human beings. You stop all forms of hate and violence against all people. We'll no longer remain silent.
Let us not just start the conversation.
See what he said right there. He said, stop all forms of hate, right? True words, man. I like to think I don't have a single hate bone in my body. I don't hate. One thing that my dad taught me when I was growing up was that hate is a strong word. It is a very strong word. You know what else is a strong word? Love is a strong word as well. And both need to be used very, very cautiously. You know what I mean? Because it can have unintended effects. But what I've come in my experience is that, and when I say unintended effects, I mean like love as in, placing your love in the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Becoming too like for instance, like addiction, if you will, right? I always like to think of the thing that you love is usually the thing that you spend most of your time doing. Okay. Outside of work, sleep, and eat. I'm talking about like activities, hobbies, right? Outside of those three major things you do every day, though, I like to think of that as the things that you love, whether it be, smoking, whether it be drinking, whether it be exercising. Those are the things that you love because you made time in your day to do them, amidst everything else. Sorry, I kind of lost track of thought there. But stopping all forms of racism, because it's like, we say that it's this year, it's the year 2021, and a lot of people say it's 2021, racism should be dead. Well, unfortunately, it's very much alive. And it's kind of hard to combat the racism because we have a lot of naysayers who, just because they don't see it, means that it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But I'm here to tell you that it very, very much exists. But what's happening is that most of it, especially from what I've seen, is passive aggressive. Very, very few people are out here just blatantly being racist. It's all passive. You know what I mean? And some of us, or I'll say most of the minority, the facts is most of the minority are probably going to be victims of this. Not to say that white people aren't victims of it. I'm just saying the minority is probably going to be a victim, not probably are victims of this. And it happens over and over daily even. But the thing is that it's been happening to minorities for so long. You know what I mean? We've kind of learned, unfortunately, how to live our lives amongst it. You know what I mean? But it's one of the things where as soon as we start trying to talk out about it, because we've been so silent for so long, don't nobody want to hear it because it makes people feel bad. You know what I mean? So I like what they're doing here. You know, this was kind of like more of a documentary kind of sense, where they're saying, you know, we can no longer be silent, you know, because we don't have the voice. We don't have a major voice anyways in order to do something unless we all kind of combine our efforts here. And I say all of us needs to combine. All of the races kind of need to combine to fight it. It can't just be just the Asian race fighting without any support. It can't just be African Americans or Black Americans fighting it alone, because it's just it's not that strong by itself. It's a unified effort. So, okay, back to what they were saying.
We'll no longer remain silent.
Let us not just start the conversation, let us start the motion. For hate stems from fear.
We need to report any injustice.
One more thing, what she said, let's not stop. He said, let's just not start the conversation, let's start the motion, right? I'm sitting here thinking about a bunch of protests. And of course, the Black Lives Matter protest comes to me. You know, I sit here and think when I was looking at the movement, I said, what are we actually doing to further the cause, right? We painted Black Lives Matter on the street. Great. We got some hats. We got some t-shirts. Great. But what is that doing? Right? So when I started seeing the Black Lives Matter movement, I understood what it was set out to do, right? Even though it turned into what it is, but you know, this is some violence and everything. I understood what it was turned out to do. Some people believe that it was from the very beginning, terrorist organization. That's the right. I'm not really politically correct, so don't quote me on that. But I do understand what what its intended purposes for, or at least from what I could understand, was that Black lives were weren't being treated equally. Okay, and then of course you have people who come up with the arguments with saying, well, if this did this, then this would be that. To say did this and this would be that. You know what I mean? But I'm not here to talk about that. What I was here to talk about was man, see, this is what happens when I go on a tangent. Like, what was I about to say? Hold on, let me go back because I had it. Oh, the movement. Yeah. So what are we doing to further the cause? Like, you got to put stuff in motion. You know what I mean? Not to, you know what? I'll talk about it later because I don't want to detract too much away from what's going on here by going into a tangent of some other personal stuff.
Motion. For hate stems from fear.
We need to report any injustices that are inflicted upon our community, because no one can tell us that we are less or that we do not belong here.
We call on all Americans to speak out strongly against this rising tide of hatred and bigotry. Asian Americans have been a vital part of this nation's history, and they belong here just as much as everybody else who have come from foreign shores and call America their home.
This is our home, too. We deserve to be safe in our communities as we ride the subway, walk to church, walk our dogs, take our children to the park. No matter your country of origin, your native tongue, your immigration status, your age, your gender, or your economic background, we belong here.
My mom don't.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I remember back on my old channel, before I got hacked, this was like maybe a couple of weeks after the George Floyd after his after they played that on the camera, they showed everything. I went to my community and I wanted to have a discussion with some of my subscribers, and I called myself African American, and some people had an issue saying, we shouldn't call yourself African American because you didn't migrate to America from Africa. You know what I mean? He said, you're just simply American. Okay. And I was like, all right, cool. But then you have those other people who tell you to go back to Africa, right? You know, it may not be my subscribers or my viewers here, but I'm pretty sure you've heard it either audibly or you've read it through a text. So I'm like, all right, now which one is it? You know? Am I an immigrant from Africa that moved to America? Right. So go back to Africa, or am I just African American? So it didn't have anything to do. I mean, not too loose. What I was trying to say is basically what they're saying. Like, we belong here too, right? Whether I'm African American or I'm a Black American, I was born here in America, so therefore this is my home, right? You can't tell me to go back to Africa. This is my home. You can't tell Asian, to go back to China, right? Especially if they were born in America, this is their home. Even if they migrated here, it's still their home. They were allowed in here, so that's what I gotta say.
Alma belongs. I belong. We all belong.
It is so important for us to support each other.
I mean, when you really think about it, right? America belongs to the Native Indians. Is that, I believe? Like I said, my geography, and I'm probably shooting myself in the butt right here with some of the stuff that I'm saying. Belongs to whoever inhabited this land before it was discovered, right, and conquered. So the whole entire go back or this isn't your home doesn't really ring true for those who were saying it, except for I believe it was Indians, right? This was their place first. So if anybody has the right to say go back home, it's probably them.
And have each other's backs. And it's also so important for us to stand in solidarity with other communities of color as we all fight against white supremacy and systemic racism.
For long term, we have to teach our children that hate is corrosive of the spirit, that hate destroys the soul of America.
And we are not alone. Our allies stand with us in solidarity and in unity. As we continue to raise our voices to keep public attention focused on stopping this scourge of hate, we must all remain vigilant and look out for each other's safety and well-being.
And I hope you'll join me in taking a stand against anti-Asian violence and prejudice.
I urge all Filipino Americans to be vigilant and to learn how to document and de-escalate hate crimes as recommended by NYPD.
Let's call on our elected officials to provide funding and resources to the Asian American community to help combat this violence and hatred.
Let's mobilize together. Stop Asian racist attack. Filipino lives matter.
And to the non-Asians watching, I implore you to do your part to stop anti-Asian hate. Stop attacks as you see them. Call out anti-Asian racism, even if there are no API folks in the room.
And to our white allies, I want to inspire you to dig deeper because we need more.
Assure your API friends that you will help keep them safe.
Let's all unite together and stop racism.
Let's stand up, show up, and speak up against Asian American hate.
Stop Asian American and Pacific Islander hate.
Let us all stop Asian hate crimes.
Please, stop the hate.
Stop. Just stop the hate.
And no matter who are around you, the choice is always clear. Always choose love.
So in the end,
some straight facts right there, man. Always choose love, man. Now, I said love is a dangerous word. It is, but always choose it. I feel like when it comes to like negative consequence versus positive, when it comes to consequences, negative versus positive, I feel like love is always going to win in the end. Now, love is, sometimes love sucks, but it's love. It's supposed to be a positive. It's supposed to be a positive emotion. And I like to think that it always wins. And honestly, giving more love out to the world is pretty much not necessarily one of my philosophies, but I always give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I am a person that likes to give. I just like to give, and give as much as I can. You know what I mean? So in order for me to do that, I have to have a gentle, caring, maybe even sensitive heart, because I need to be sensitive to situations and everything. So I love what he just said. Let's go back and just listen to what he said. I really love that.
Stop the hate.
And no matter who are around you, the choice is always clear. Always choose love.
Always.
So in the end, the true answer is love of neighbor.
Lord Father God, forgive me, for I'm explained too vividly. I don't have enough patience as it is to tell you how it's going down for a count with the lives lost in this amount. And now I'm a boss, I'ma make a route, going on toes, making all you shout, training you perfectly to send all the higher ups an unforgettable message, but surgically making me pick apart what they want.
Train you perfectly to send all the higher ups an unforgettable message, but surgically. See, I like that. You know what that tells me right there is that it ain't just a mass attack. It ain't just, it ain't just mindless violence, right? There's a plan, there's a structure, there's mobility. I would hope that's motion you towards a solution, right? But surgically, think about how surgeons go in and they do their work. They do a whole lot of prep work before they even start to cut, before they even start to do what type of work. They need everything to go as smoothly as possible. Imagine if they just showed up, didn't even wash their hands, and just went straight into your body like that. What was that dude on South Park, that bike, what did that bike guy said? You're going to have a bad time. So I like that. That's a powerful bar right there. An unforgettable message, but surgically.
To send all the higher ups an unforgettable message, but surgically making me pick apart what they want. Cause what if it's murdering me? Cause there's an incredibly high of a chance for it to be meant that I die in a dance, just cause I vent and I cry for my friends and family members, man. And try to Asian hate in front of me, I won't even speak. I'll clock you in your place a little young and you bugging. I'm never letting that agency slide unless I'm seeing you die right in front of my eyes. Now both of our families are victims now because of our pride. And what should exist that just died, gon' hurt.
Oh my goodness, bro. My goodness, man. See, this is why I like Easy Mail, man.
Slide unless I'm seeing you die right in front of my eyes. Now both of our families are victims now because of our pride. And what should exist that just died.
Now both of our families are because of our pride. Yeah, that's also a dangerous emotion.
Gon' hurt one of my people cause I'm messing you up. Gon' hurt one of my sisters here, I'm messing you up. Gon' hurt me and my brothers, man, we messing you up. Asian hate, yeah, we messing you up.
That's a little quick thing right there. Hey man, that's pretty cool for Easy Mail to kind of lend his voice at the end of that. Let me check something here real quick. Just want to check something. Okay, just want to check something. Okay. All right. So yeah, but like I said, man, ultimately, if you're gonna leave anything, like I said, anytime I try to do some like political or political, because I'm not really a political guy, I get information, I sift through it, I find out, what to pay attention to, what's not, what do I consider a ruse over our eyes, what's really going on, you know what I mean? It's a whole lot of information I sift through, but I'm not necessarily one to politically speak on certain things, because I always like to think I make a fool out of myself. But if you're a new viewer to this channel, I can definitely see how you feel that. But if you're an old viewer, you guys should already know my stance on everything. For the most part, I'm pretty optimistic. I focus on love and I focus on giving, right? Regardless of the race, regardless of the people, and regardless of what you've done. And the reason why I'm that way is because I can't judge, because I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect in any way. So how can I judge you? That's at the very core what I believe. I cannot judge. It is it's impossible for me to judge. I can judge, you know what I mean? But you guys know what I mean. Anyways, man, I'm probably going to be nervous about releasing videos like this, especially when it deals with very, very serious topics like this, because I always think that I sound like a fool. But here we go. That's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe. Dave's out.